Sex is the life force energy that runs through us all. Can you use sexual energy for your spiritual evolution? Or perhaps for emotional healing? Is it even possible? Clinical sexologist Dr. Martha Tara Lee will explore all these and more on Eros Evolution on Om Times Radio.
Welcome to Eros Evolution, where sexuality and spirituality meets. This is Dr. Martha Tara Lee of Eros Coaching, and you can find me on eroscoaching.com. I'm a clinical sexologist, and I'm based in Singapore. In today's show, we have Reverend Paul Bagge, and we'll be talking about repressed sexuality in the 21st century. In today's show, Reverend Paul Bagge will be discussing with us the causes and effects of repressed sexuality on today's women, where it came from, and its hindrances on sexual growth and personal empowerment. He'll be sharing with us tips on opening up sexually and empowering that growth gives us. Also, he'll be providing us with possible avenues for exploration and discovery. So, who is Reverend Paul Bagge? He is a sex and intimacy coach, sexual healer, body worker, certified massage therapist, and an ordained spiritual minister based in Boston, Massachusetts. He has been working with women and couples for more than 20 years, working primarily in the areas of repressed sexuality and healing from sexual abuse or trauma. Paul works with enhancement and heightened sexual energy to bring about empowerment and transformation. Largely self-taught, Paul has been honing and practicing his craft since he was a teenager. Tirelessly studying the science of female anatomy and physiology, he has been counseling women about their elusive G-spots since the age of 18. And has continued from there, helping women in all phases of their sexuality and expression of that sexuality. Growing up in a home where his mother was being abused, it's only natural that he would grow up to help women heal from such abuses. You can find him on ecstaticsensations.com, and his Facebook is also Ecstatic Sensations. So welcome, Paul.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So maybe we can start off the show by talking a little bit about the link between sex and spirituality, because that's what I explore every week on this show.
Okay. Well, from my point of view, I, being a spiritual minister as well, I have explored many different realms of religion and how they affect our sexuality and what that's done to us. However, I do stick more with some of the older Chinese philosophies of sexual energy and spirituality, such as Tantra and the Tao. And I believe that they are one and the same. They're intertwined. Our spirituality, our connection to the universe, our connection to Mother Earth, essentially also is our sexual energy. I mean, Mother Earth, creation itself. That is, to some point, we can say that is sex, okay? Our sex centers and our energy centers in our body is also our creative center. And it kind of all goes hand in hand.
Tell us a little bit about your own discovery of sex or sexuality growing up, and how you begin to associate the link, if that's possible.
Okay. Well, again, you read my bio, and I've been doing this since I was about 18. Growing up, I was a little different. I know everybody says this, but I always knew I was different than most men. I was more compassionate, more sympathetic, more caring, while most of the other guys my age were like in their driveway building cars or going out doing, purely alpha male things. I was actually, when I discovered the opposite sex and realized that this is what my body is wanting, I wanted to know everything I could about women and how to please them. So I started studying at the local state college library, and there I also, beyond the anatomy and physiology I was studying, I also started looking into some of the ancient practices of the Kama Sutra. So even at that point, I was getting the blend of the sexuality and spirituality. But over the years, I have explored religion, various religions, been baptized 3 different times, and we don't have to go there. But, yeah, so it's always felt natural to me, really, to combine the two and to have them go hand in hand. If that answers your question.
Oh, yes, it does. I'm just amazed by your personal story of what you're saying, how you awaken at 18 and then you start reading all these things. I wish I started so early.
Well, I never really knew, why I was like that. I just thought I was different. I didn't understand what was going on till probably only about 10, 12 years ago when I had like another spiritual awakening. And at that point, sorry about that. At that point, what I realized was that I've always kind of had a very balanced masculine feminine. So that's why I was more compassionate and everything else. But I just had no idea at the time.
Interesting. And so what happened after school? You just immediately started going around helping women?
Well, it's kind of weird. It's pretty much actually just went that way. Women have always kind of gravitated towards me as a protector, a big brother, somebody they could talk to. But they've always told me the same things, that I could never tell anybody else this, or I can't believe I'm telling you these things. It's just happened naturally. So it wasn't something that I went out and tried to pursue actively, trying to make a profession out of it as a kid. It just kept happening.
And when did you begin, I guess, getting more professional kind of training, like, massage and all that?
Well, okay. Well, over the years, massage training, that happened. I was living in another state a few years ago. I'm also a carpenter by trade. That's what I've been doing since I was a kid. And I love working with my hands. So massage makes sense, but I also know that I can't do this all my life. So I was looking for other skills that I could use my hands and wouldn't bother my back so much. Naturally, again, being who I was as a kid, I was giving massages then, and I was told that I was great at it. So that just kind of seemed natural to fall into massage school. The religious thing, as far as exploring like Tantra and the Tao, that's always been something that's been in the back of my head, is to seek the truth, to seek answers. And when I did start exploring those ends of the spectrum, the Eastern religions, then that precipitated me wanting to study even more, to study different avenues, to study sexuality, to study gods and deities, to study, how the culture evolved around those gods and deities, and how actually it brought me to how sex was in the culture. And it just kept continuing.
Yeah. I do know that there's like endless things we can study. So when people say, oh, how can you be a sexologist, like it's so limiting, but they don't realize there's actually so much there for us to learn. It's just never ending.
No, it's still constantly always in blossom. It's always pushing further and further out.
Yeah. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your work. Besides what I already mentioned, maybe some listeners out there are not quite sure what a sex and intimacy coach teaches or does.
Sure. Well, as a sex and intimacy coach, I teach techniques to women, couples, men to get more satisfaction out of their sex life, to have better relationships. I teach positions for more satisfactory sex and enjoyment. I also coach couples how to and going into the spirituality end of it, how to use the sexual energy that they cultivate together to bring them to higher states of, we'll say, spiritual consciousness. So I teach that as a sexological body worker, not a certified sexological body worker, but I do the work. I work with that energy inside the physical body, just like we do in massage, and we it's always tough to explain. We work with that energy. What I was taught in massage school, and I use this often, is we hold our issues in our tissues. So that means when we have traumas in our lives, when we go through things like abuse, that energy manifests itself inside our body, in our tissues, and it stays with us. It's like a little black cloud, and it's hiding somewhere inside us. Now, we can go out and we can take the psychological end of it, and we can go to counseling and group therapy and deal with it that way. We could also go to, say, pastoral counseling and deal with it that way. How you feel about it religiously, how you think it affects your soul, your spirit. However, when you go to a body worker who's doing this type of body work, energetically, and even working with your sexual energy, you're working with everything as a whole, body and mind and soul are being worked on at the same time.
Yeah, we have a break, Paul. So after this, we'll talk more about issues and tissues.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Join Elliot Jolish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jolish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jolish Hour.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle. Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times.
Welcome back to Eros Evolution, where sexuality and spirituality meets. This is Dr. Martha Tara Lee of Eros Coaching, and I am based in Singapore. My website is www.eroscoaching.com, and today I have Reverend Paul Bagge, and he can be found on aestheticsensations.com. He was dubbed the goddess healer earlier in his career by friends and colleagues. And Paul has devoted his life to the healing and empowerment of female sexuality, as well as to nurturing the divine feminine energy. He invites women to go back within their holistic body and to empower their true feminine sensual selves. He provides a safe, nurturing, and sacred space for the exploration of their natural sexuality to heal and awaken their lives. And he does a lot of Skype coaching as well. So feel free to contact Paul if you feel drawn to him. I know I certainly am, knowing that he has this passion and empathy and heart for women. So, Paul, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the type of women who come and see you.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Most of my clients are coming to me with some history of sexual abuse or trauma that they haven't dealt with. And now it's years and years later in their life, and they're starting to realize that that's still there and it is still causing a problem. So they come to me for either coaching, counseling, or body work, and we work on bringing that to the surface, dealing with it, and then taking the remnants of that, I'll say, and the energy that we've created to heal, taking that and using that to empower their lives from this point forward. That's that end of the spectrum. I also see a lot of women who are, we'll say, suffering from some type of repressed sexuality, where they really just don't even know what they're capable of feeling as women with your unique feminine body parts and sensations and everything that goes along with that. Either they're not having a great sex life because they really don't know how much better it could be, or there's either societal or cultural reasons why, they never learned more or they never explored further, or it could even be that they just never had a lover who cared enough to take them that way. So they come to me as a teacher, a facilitator, as someone to hold that sacred space for them and guide them along that journey. So those are the major of the clients that I see.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the whole spectrum, including women who are just slightly maybe inhibited, they're just wondering what is the potential, especially as they get older. And then the other side, which is the women who have been abused and traumatized sexually.
Yeah.
So maybe just for listeners out there, like, why is it so important to unblock all this repression? Why is it even important?
Okay. Well, it's important for a great many reasons. Mm-hmm. And first, let me just say, okay, what can happen to you if, say, like you repress this at an early age, if your sexuality is repressed from an early age? Our sexuality is a huge part, as you know, of our development through adolescence, through young adult. Okay, so if we don't learn to, or start learning to, at that age, how to express what we're truly feeling deep down inside and chemically and everything else, then if we don't learn how to express that, it's going to stay bottled up, and it's not going to go in any direction that we want it to go. It's just going to stay stuck somewhere. So that kind of inhibits our growth. Now, later on in life, it can inhibit how we, having a satisfied, happy life. If we've never really learned how to express ourselves, express our feelings, what's naturally us, because, nobody's putting this inside of us. It's there already. If we don't learn how to use that to our fullest potential, and if we don't learn how to take advantage of those things, then we really are just wasting it all. And as humans, inherently, we have this natural sexuality. As I mentioned earlier, our connection to Mother Earth, the universe, everything, that's perfectly natural. These feelings are supposed to happen. These chemical reactions are supposed to happen. We're literally, especially women, built for pleasure. So why not feel it? Why not do what you're meant to do?
I love the way you're explaining it. You make it all so clear and logical. It's part of our development. If we don't learn how to express ourselves properly, then it gets bottled up. That inhibits our growth, and we don't have happy sexual lives. I love how you're explaining it so clearly and succinctly. So sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say, it affects us not just, happy sex lives. It can be our relationships, how we deal with people, which transfers into your professional life, your personal life, everywhere. It affects us on many, many different levels.
Precisely. We like to think that we can compartmentalize all the different areas of our lives, but really they're interlinked and intertwined. And so if we're happy in one area, then we are happier in just our whole life.
Absolutely.
I love what you're sharing. So what are some ways that women or men can do to break free of repression and start to grow in their sexuality?
Well, the first thing you need to do really is just make a decision that, okay, I'm doing this for me, and you have to do it for you. If you're going to do it for a spouse or a loved one or for any other reason, then you're not going to be going at it wholeheartedly, and you're not going to get what you really need to get out of it. You make the decision for you that this is what I want to do for whatever the reason may be, for personal satisfaction or whatever. But, okay, make the decision. So once you've made the decision, now start looking at your desires that you've kind of pushed off to yourself, off to the side yourself, knowingly, because, I don't know, you were too busy, that's not me, whatever. But these are natural things that are occurring inside of you. So pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to feelings and sensations that have always felt good, but you never really took the time to take them any further. Just start there. And also start pampering yourself, making yourself feel good. Wear the sexy clothes you want to wear. Take long baths, flowers, shampoo, scents, everything, suds in the tub. Pamper yourself and treat yourself like the beautiful, sensual creature that you are. Once you start feeling more and more like you are a sensual being, that will open up more and more naturally. Things will flow to you. Ideas will flow to you. Little epiphany maybe in the middle of the day. Wow, I could be doing this, or this sounds like a great idea. But as you allow yourself to feel things, more and more is what you'll feel. As you allow yourself to sit back and receive, which is tough for a great many women who are caregivers as well as men who are caregivers, to receive, you'll start realizing what it is your body really wants and how great it really feels. And then energetically things change, and then mentally things change, and you do become happier overall. Even if you don't have like these huge milestones, you're still making little accomplishments along your way, and all those things compound and form a structure for further exploration.
I love what you're sharing. You talk about first the decision. That's the first step. It has to be the first step. Even just deciding starts to draw things to your consciousness or awareness that maybe you don't realize. And then the next one is to begin paying attention to what's happening, your desires, what's happening inside, and then to give to yourself, to pamper, and then it will start to help you open up more, and then you can receive. I really like how you're giving all these suggestions in a very systematic way, so listeners out there can just do this easily. I love it.
It really doesn't take much to get started, and then, like I said, these things have been in you the whole time, so naturally it's just going to come out. Really, all you have to do is allow for it to happen, and then form some type of judgment around, okay, this feels great. Do I want to take it further? But you also got to kind of keep in mind, too, that you got to set some boundaries for yourself so you don't go too far until you're sure of what it is you really want.
Mm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, one step at a time, baby steps, slow
Right.
and steady steps.
It can be real easy when we start talking about sexuality and the expression of sexuality, to get all wrapped up in it and just let it go wild. Because when this is happening, it feels great, number one. But chemically, all the endorphins are kicking in. So your body, physically, all your cells are pumping, all your energy is becoming enlivened while this is going on. So it's real easy to just run with that and get carried away, but we still kind of do need to take it step by step and allow the experience to happen and what's the word I'm looking for? Absorb it before we keep going. So, and that's why I say women come to me to facilitate this and to guide them, because they need a little guidance. No offense, but you need a little guidance in this. You need somebody who is a professional that can be there for you if there's something going on that you don't understand what is going on. Why are you feeling this way? Is this bad? Is this good? You need that type of guidance, and that's what I'm there for.
Yeah, plus the fact you have a lot of experience working with women.
Yes, I do, for 20 plus years now.
Yeah, you can't get that kind of experience just dabbing in and out. You've been working with women for a long time, and what better way to heal their sexuality but with another man?
Makes sense to me.
So after this break, we'll come back and we'll talk more about sexual healing.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The cutting edge of conscious radio. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back to Eros Evolution, where sexuality and spirituality meets. This is Dr. Martha Tara Lee of Eros Coaching, and we have with us Paul, Reverend Paul Bagge, and he is a sex and intimacy coach, and he's been sharing with us the importance of being able to get in touch with our sexuality. And if you feel that your sexuality is repressed or inhibited in any way, it's not too late to start taking steps towards opening up yourself and to your sexuality, because it's a big part of who you are. and he gave some really good tips just before the break about how we can start breaking free out of this and start to grow in our sexuality. And you can find him on aestheticsensations.com. So welcome back, Paul.
Hello.
Hello. So maybe we've been talking about women. Is there any difference with male sexuality?
Well, yeah, of course there's difference. But there's also a lot of similarities too. Mm. Okay, men in general, right? Sex is supposed to be a male thing. If you look at, say, the porn market or the adult magazine market, all of that is 99% geared towards men. Mm. And of course, if we'll take even strip clubs and adult entertainment lounges and stuff, that's generally 99% men too. So sexuality in our society here in the 21st century is geared towards pleasing men. Well, that's society's viewpoint. Okay, now we can turn it the other way. As a man grows up, he's told not to cry. He's told he's got to be tough. He's got to be hard. He's got to be strong. He's got to be the provider. He can't show weakness. He can't show tears. But in that, he loses a big part of his sexuality, because we are going towards the spiritual end again. We are masculine and we are feminine. There is a balance inside of us, and there are different aspects to each. Feminine aspects, compassion, sympathy, caring. Male aspects are action, strength, things of that. And we balance that in between us. Now, if we're told that we're not supposed to experience some of those feelings, if we're not supposed to ever act on those feelings, that's repression. That's going to stunt our growth as far as sexuality, sexual expression. It's going to stunt our growth personally, because we're not learning how to use the other half of ourselves, how to exploit it for whatever it is that we want out of our lives. There's that repression. There's also the whole alpha male thing, where, you're not supposed to admit that you've got a problem in your sex life. You're a man, you're tough. We don't talk about that kind of shit. We don't talk about that kind of stuff because you don't admit it. Men in general, we got this huge pride thing where we're not going to admit to another man that we've got issues in the bedroom. We don't know what we're doing. We need help. We're not going to put ourselves in that position. So men don't often go and seek the help they need. Sometimes they just internalize it, and it comes out in their personality. And a lot of times too, where guys learn about sex, it's in a locker room or it's from his buddies, and they're not getting the correct information. They fumble through their early sexual encounters and think they're making the girl happy, but generally the girl is just trying to live through the experience and move on at that point in our lives anyway. So yeah, male sexuality has been repressed quite a bit.
Yeah, I really have to agree with you with everything that you said. You really hit the nail on the head. I find that the men who come and see me, they really dread coming to see me. They really have a lot of fear. I don't know what they think I'm going to do to them, but yeah, they have a lot of that going on inside them. And I completely agree with you. It's very much a part of a male's pride and ego and what society puts on them. I think as women, sometimes we don't realize how hard it is for men to open up. Because after years of suppression, it's so difficult to just be free and open.
Yeah, and it doesn't come out easily at that point. Once you've hidden something for that long, it's going to hurt a little bit to come up. But the hurt doesn't have to last long. I mean, if you're going at this with the intention that you want to move forward with your development that's either repressed or whatever, you're going to get past the pain quickly, and you're going to start moving forward, and you're going to have these accomplishments that make you want to go further. and you'll start feeling better and better.
Yeah, I do often, even in one session, I can begin to see how clients start to really, this repression you're talking about, they have all these blockages, and they start talking more and more freely about sex in front of me, and they actually start to look different. They start to glow. Their body's just much more relaxed, and it's really amazing to watch sometimes.
Yeah, and I know you don't do the hands-on, but women who get up off my table after a session where the energy has just been coursing through them and opening these things up, they glow. They actually glow. I mean, even if they didn't have an orgasm on my table, they're still glowing. They look like they did.
Yeah, I don't do hands-on touch in Singapore, but I know there's so many benefits to it. It's just the way it is in Singapore, it's I don't want people to think of the sleaze part. They don't seem to have the maturity or vocabulary to understand not everybody who does hands-on touch is considered like sleazy. That's right. The healing part of sexuality. And I don't think as a society, Singapore was ready. And so I chose not to do it. And I would have to say I haven't found any body worker who I felt confident and comfortable to refer clients to, who was ethical and trained and professional. Someone like you.
Well, yeah, it is tough to find somebody who's reputable, who's out there truly for your best interest. And granted, I'm kind of an anomaly. I'm largely self-trained, but I've been self-training since I was 16. Now there are, like you're certified sexological body worker, correct? Okay. There's training like that out there, and that's definitely the type of person that you should be going to seek this type of guidance. There's other shamans out there that will take you on journeys via your energy. Mine just happens to be the modality that fits for me. This is what's always worked for me, but there's definitely other avenues to go to get these same results.
Yeah. So how does one go about choosing a body worker? I'm sure you must have your frustrations with hearing people who have bad experiences.
Oh, yeah.
So what would you suggest to them?
Just really, really look into whoever it is that you're going to see. I mean, scour the internet, find out about them. If you can, find somebody you know who's been to one of them. I mean, because, all right, number one, in this line of work, I have to be a body worker, a counselor, a therapist. To some extent, I have to be a pastor, a doctor, I have to be everything. And this comes with years and years of experience. But you need to be able to have a connection with that person, because you're going to be on that most intimate level of, I touch women in places their doctors have never touched them. I touch women in places that their lovers have never touched them. And I'm getting them in touch with things they never even knew were there. So there's an incredible amount of trust that they have to have in me. There's an incredible amount of comfortability they need to feel with me, and they need to feel safe. So you need to be able to have that type of a click go on before you can say, yes, this is the person for me. That's what I want to say. As far as how to go about finding this person, meet them, talk to them, sit down with them, ask them their training. If you listen to your inner voice, your inner child, your gut will tell you if this person is right or not for you. Because there are a lot of people out there doing this work whose intentions are not pure, or who do not provide sufficient enough aftercare. Aftercare is huge with me. because we're working on these energies, and as you know, things don't necessarily come up right away. It can happen later on down the line. And I tell all my clients, 24/7, here's my cell number. For at least 3 weeks, 24/7 is fine. Because I believe that any time after that, these things could pop up. I work with dormant energies, and sometimes dormant energies take a while to start releasing. So look for somebody you know is going to provide that type of aftercare.
Yeah. Great. So you're not stingy about your time afterwards. That's
No.
special. I know I have my boundaries.
Well, and even in session, I charge, I don't say by the hour because I just charge by session. And the sessions generally run from 90 minutes to 2.5 hours. If it's 90 minutes, fine. If it's 2.5 hours, fine. If it's 4 hours, fine. Whatever. Sometimes things happen. You run longer in sessions to deal with whatever issue came up. They're just paying for a session. You still get my time.
I think it's important to take that time because you need time to unravel and open up and to loosen up tissue in your body and also open up emotionally. People don't realize that once you get that deep, you actually want to have that time.
Yeah, you do. You want to take it further. You want to keep uncovering things, It's like, oh, we just discovered this. Let's not shut this out. Let's work on this a little bit. So, yeah, the clock doesn't matter at that point, at least not for me anyway.
That's awesome. That's really important. I like what you suggested about meeting the body worker. Some people think that, I'm paying for the time, therefore I must do a lot of work. If you're not ready, then you can actually just say, I just want to meet and I will pay for the time, so that before you go deeper with someone you don't really know and you don't really trust, so there's this pressure of, I must make use of every single cent. It's not really about that either. So we have a short break, and after the break, we'll be back for more.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Welcome to The Gathering Around My Kitchen Table on Equilarium FM, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join my guests as we integrate spirituality into everyday reality with vibrant conversations, inspired interviews, and my latest channeled guidance to inspire and brighten your day. I'm Claire Johnson, and together we'll be raising vibrations across the nations.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business. The future of internet radio is here. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back to Eros Evolution. You are listening to us on Om Times Radio Network, and you can share this show with your friends. now or later by sending them the link ometimes.com/mobile. And our mobile player is so advanced, it doesn't need any app. You just need a link and you'll be able to listen to it right away. So we are just a few days away from the end of May. And as you know, I have a masturbation month campaign every year in the month of May, and you can find me on eroscoaching.com /subscription-options. So you will be able to see all the other things that I have there besides masturbation month. I have an eco-sex campaign talking about healthy sexuality. I have Fabulous talking about love. And I also have Mother's Day and Father's Day's videos talking about the love of father-mother relationship with the child. So it can help with some healing around your, I guess, family messages that you had growing up. So we have Reverend Paul Bagge with us today, and he has been sharing with us so many things about sexuality, female, male, repression of sexuality, and how important it is to start to really explore and become more comfortable with our sexuality for ourselves. I like the way he's been sharing with us, how openly and honestly. And we are in our last 15 minutes into the show. So Paul, is there anything else that you would like to share with listeners out there?
Sure. Well, we can stay right here on the subject of the repressed sexuality. I actually started writing a blog post the other day, and what I was doing was I had 10 things that may show that you have repressed sexuality. So I just wanted to maybe put a couple of those out there, because some people may not even realize that there is more to what they can feel, that they are, that they did repress something, and that there is more potential. So there's a lot of things that can cause repressed sexuality, especially at a young age while we are developing. Religion, for one. As we know, religion suppresses the hell out of everything all over the planet. That is no different with our sexuality. If you're growing up in a very strict religion, then the chances are your parents are also, grinding this into your head, this type of doctrine. And generally speaking, religions aren't really big on expressing your sexuality unless it's for a certain purpose. Now, there are exceptions to that rule, like Tantra, some of the Tao, which teach you to express your sexuality. However, they also teach you to take that energy and utilize it towards becoming more spiritually conscious. But in general, religions are not that open. They do not want the best for you sexually. So religion plays a huge part in it. Your family can play a huge part in it. I know that the statistics show like 50 to 60% people grow up in a broken home now, at least in this country, they do. And, that plays a part in, if you're in your developing stages when this is going on, that plays a part in how you perceive relationships, the roles in relationships. Is somebody supposed to be getting abused? Is somebody supposed to be getting talked down to? Is that just the way it is? Because we're learning at that point from our role models, and that also includes our sexuality. So, and our cultures. Our culture also plays a huge part in that, as far as what they accept and what they deem necessary for your sexuality and your sexual function. There's still parts of the world where they're doing female circumcision. That's not exactly healthy for anybody's expression. So just all of these influences that are around can affect you without you even knowing it. But I would say, if you feel like when you're having sex, if you feel like there's more to it than just what you've been experiencing, then by all means, make a decision. Take some steps to start exploring that. If let's say you put on something new for clothing and it feels real good. I don't know. We'll take the feminine point of this. We'll say something's brushing up against your leg and it feels very sensual, feels very nice. And it seems like it's kind of creating a little spark inside you. You know, take the time to figure out what that spark is, and by all means, explore it. See where it goes. See if it brings something out of you didn't know was there. Something happy and empowering. You know, just take a look at yourself, just for the hell of it. See if anything that I've said, it resonates with you. See if anything seems like, hey, maybe he's got a point, or maybe he's right. Maybe that did happen. Or maybe there is something more I could be doing. Just for your own self-exploration, your own self-satisfaction, start looking into some of these things.
Oh, I so love what you're sharing. It's so beautiful. You're inviting all of us to explore what you mentioned, the spark, and see where else it goes. That's beautiful. I think sometimes we get caught up with the do this, do that, you know, the techniques, the tips, the tricks. And that's what the media puts onto us. And so after some time, you don't really feel very confident, like, oh, I'm doing it wrong. And really, it's much more than that. And I think this is what you're sharing.
Yeah, and you know what? We're all way too busy nowadays, too. This is, 2015. Everybody's got places they got to go, things they're stressing about. You got to take the time to pamper yourself. You are a beautiful, everybody, well, especially you. You are a beautiful, sensual being. Okay, Martha? And we all are, male, female, transgender, whatever. We're all sensual beings. We deserve to feel pleasure. Like I said earlier, we're built for pleasure. Women have 7,000, well, everybody agrees on 7,000. 7,000 nerve endings in the clitoris, the head of the clitoris. Okay, now that's there for only one reason, to make you feel good. So why not feel good? I mean, like I said, our bodies are built for this. Inside a woman, all your pleasure spots that are inside of your body, when a woman is giving birth, all these pleasure spots are actually hit upon during the birth, through the birth canal. Birth doesn't even have to be a truly painful experience. That can be enjoyable. But that's also, expressing another part of our sexuality, checking into another part of our sexuality, and seeing what our bodies are truly capable of.
Yeah. And that becomes all hidden as well with repression.
Yeah. Sometimes the sensations are dulled because that stagnant energy is just built up there. Like, say, around a G-spot. That energy is sitting in those tissues, again, holding our issues in our tissues.
Yeah.
And that needs to be worked out. And once that area is freed, more sensations flow, more energies flow. You become heightened in that area, and it opens up the rest of the pelvic floor around it as well. It's just an amazing thing, the opening and the blossoming that can occur later on in life with your sexuality, and how it can change your life and take you wherever you want to go, simply by just seeing what makes you feel good and asking yourself, is this what I want to do? Is this what I want to experience? And see what that little voice tells you.
Yeah, that's important. Yes, sometimes we say we don't want to go a certain place, we don't want to try certain things, but it's really fear talking. And when we do go there, it actually is, we become better for it. It takes courage.
It does, and all of this takes courage. I mean, to look inside yourself takes courage. To go outside of the box, outside of your comfort zone, that all takes courage. And to realize that you're going into essentially uncharted territory because you've never felt these things before, that takes courage. But, really nothing bad is going to come from self-knowledge. Nothing. And I know we're talking about sexuality, but it's true in any other field. Psychology. Nothing bad's going to come out of self-knowledge. You're going to get your heart checked out. Nothing bad is going to come from self-knowledge. So, again, take that to your spirituality, your sexuality. Combine them, see where they take you.
Beautiful. Any last words for our listeners, Paul?
If you're in the Boston area and any of this made sense to you, you'd like to talk to me some more, you can either go to my website, ecstaticsensations.com, and contact me that way, or you can send me an email at tantraviking.com. So not .com, TANTRAVIKING at yahoo.com. And if you heard this and you live somewhere else on the planet and would like to set up a counseling session, by all means, send me an email and we can start talking about that as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Paul, for coming onto this show. And please, if you are drawn to Paul and his energy and what he shared, remember, he is the goddess healer and he's fabulous. I'm just so in love with what he's sharing. Next week, we have another guest and we're going to be talking about self-pleasure. So self-pleasure, your way to self-love, and you will be hearing all this on Eros Evolution. So this has been Martha, and you can check me out as well on Eros Coaching. Thank you so much for being with us, and have a great day.